In the summer of 476 AD, the most powerful empire the Western world had ever seen simply stopped. No final battle, no burning capital, no dramatic last stand. Just a teenage barbarian king sitting down on a throne in Ravenna, and a document being signed that nobody, at the time, thought was particularly important. But to understand those final 40 days, you have to understand how Rome got there, because Rome didn't fall in a day. It fell slowly, then all at once. By 475 AD, the Western Roman Empire was barely an empire at all. It controlled a thin strip of Italy. Its emperors were puppets, placed on the throne and removed at the pleasure of whoever commanded the army. In the previous 50 years alone, there had been 9 different emperors. Most of them lasted less than 2 years. Most of them were murdered. The man who held the real power in 475 was a Roman general of barbarian origin named Orestes. He had worked as a secretary for Attila the Hun, yes, that Attila, and had spent decades maneuvering through the chaos of late Roman politics. In October 475, he did what Roman generals did. He marched on Ravenna, deposed the sitting emperor, and placed his own son on the throne. His son was 14 years old. His name, almost poetically, was Romulus Augustulus. Romulus, the name of Rome's legendary founder, and Augustus, the title of its greatest emperor. A child carrying the weight of an entire civilization. But Orestes had made an enemy. His own troops, a mixed force of Germanic soldiers called the Foederati, had been promised land in Italy as payment for their service. Orestes refused. It was a fatal miscalculation. The Foederati chose a new leader from among themselves. His name was Odoacer. We know almost nothing about his early life. He may have been Syrian or Hun or a mix of both. What we do know is that he was decisive, respected by his men, and had no patience for Roman political games. In August 476, Odoacer led his forces against Orestes. The campaign lasted barely 2 weeks. Orestes was captured near the city of Piacenza and executed on August 28th. His brother fled to a fortified tower and held out for a matter of days before surrendering. He was killed too. Odoacer then marched to Ravenna. The young emperor Romulus Augustulus offered no resistance. He was, after all, a 14-year-old boy with no army and no allies. Odoacer did something unusual for the era. He spared him, perhaps because of his age, perhaps because he seemed too pathetic to be a threat. Romulus was stripped of his title, given a pension, and sent to live in a castle in southern Italy, where he disappears from history entirely. On September 4th, 476 AD, Odoacer did not declare himself the new Roman emperor. Instead, he sent the imperial insignia, the robes, the diadem, the symbols of Western Roman power, to the emperor in Constantinople in the east. His message was simple. The West no longer needs its own emperor. There is only one Roman Empire now, and it is yours. The Eastern Emperor Zeno accepted the regalia. He gave Odoacer the title of patrician, essentially a regional governor, and quietly moved on. Nobody declared the Roman Empire fallen. Nobody held a funeral. The empire simply reorganized itself out of existence. Historians would later mark September 4th, 476, as the end of the Western Roman Empire. But the people living through it didn't experience it that way. To them, it was just another change of regime in a century full of them. The aqueducts still ran, the laws still functioned, Latin was still spoken, the Senate still met in Rome. The real end of Rome wasn't a single moment. It was a slow erosion of tax revenue, of territory, of the will to defend borders that kept expanding faster than they could be held. By 476, the empire had already lost Britain, Gaul, Spain, and North Africa. What Odoacer inherited was a husk. What's remarkable about those final 40 days is how quiet they were. The mightiest empire in human history ended not with a roar, but with a pension and a one-way trip to the countryside. Some historians argue Rome never really fell, that it transformed slowly into the Catholic Church, into the Byzantine Empire, into the legal and linguistic foundations of modern Europe. Maybe they're right. Or maybe that's just what empires tell themselves on the way out. Welcome to Expertise Dive. Drop a topic in the comments. We go where the curiosity leads.